you guys to make a list of your top 5 home run hitters in MLB right now. Basically, if you needed a home run, who would you want at the plate?
There's some really obvious choices here that have to be in this top 5.
Yeah, we're setting this up because we know. Okay, it's time to reveal your top 5. Let's just do that. Nick, why don't you go ahead and reveal your top 5? Steve, let him reveal all 5, and then you can debate him on it.
Let's go.
Okay, let's see if Steve can contain himself for a few seconds. But the first guy that I have on my list at number 5 is Aaron Judge of the Yankees, of course. Playing in that bandbox helps him out a little bit, but still, I got to give it to him with what he's done over the years, even when he's been injured. Number 4, I'm going to go with Shohei Ohtani, as much as I know we're going to talk about it a little bit. I do have question marks just because of pitching and everything. Number 3, it's going to go to Matt Olson after playing in Oakland for so long. We'll talk about a little more what it's going to look like with the Braves and everything. Number 2, I know this guy gets injured a little bit, and in terms of how much he plays, it hurts his numbers. But Franmil Reyes has to be up there, I think, on anybody's list. And then number 1, tied for the league lead in home runs last year, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Steve.
What issues? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with?
His whole list is fine. We actually found something that Nick is useful at. It can give some decent information. So I'm glad that we've gotten this far, right before the start of the MLB season. His list is fine. Mine varies a little bit. And you know what? Before I came on the show, before we came on, I'm getting blasted by my producer about who I don't have on this list. And you know what? This is what creates good content. If I leave off somebody, that's going to create some debate. So maybe I should be the one producing, because I obviously know how this game works and not anybody else. So I'm going to give my list, and then we can debate after that. But you know what, Nick? You did a great job on that list. I thought there was a lot of good players on there. Reyes is somebody I probably should have put on there too myself. I'm actually ashamed that I didn't put him on there. But I'm going to give my list. And this is where we create the content, because some people are going to disagree with it. And that's how you make, you get views and stuff that we need. You want views. Okay. Starting at number 5, we're going with Mitch Haniger, probably one of the more underrated power hitters in all of MLB. Just real quick, men on base, 19 of his 39 home runs came in that scenario. Mr. Clutch, that's what we're going to call him. Mitch Haniger. He also plays for the Mariners, so we also have to put him on there. Number 4, we're going to do Bryce Harper. Obviously, Harper has hit over 30 home runs in 3 of his last 4 seasons. In 2020, in that shortened season, he was on pace for 36. So he would have been there too as well if COVID didn't, come here and ruin everything. Aaron Judge, number 3, can't leave that guy off there. Okay, he's obviously a lot of injury issues with him. But in the 2 seasons we played over 140 games, he's combined for 91 home runs. Absolutely blasts the ball there. Shohei Ohtani at number 2, obviously cooled off immensely in the second half, but you cannot ignore 33 home runs in the first half of the season. That is absolutely absurd. Kid's only 26 years old, long way to go. And then the guy that, Nick left off his list, Fernando Tatis Jr. If you need a home run hitter and a clutch situation, that is my guy. 42 home runs last season. That's also while missing a month worth of games. Who's not on there? Vlad Guerrero Jr. Everybody get over it, okay? I understand. He had a monster year last year. But you know what? Maybe he'd be number 6 for me, okay? Just because he led the league in home runs last year doesn't mean it automatically puts him in the top 5, okay? He's number 6 for me. So calm down. People can debate in the comments, and tweets, email DraftKings if you want to. I don't give a crap. But this is where you create the content. You can debate all you want. That's my list.
Nick, would you like to respond?
Yes, please do.
I honestly don't know how to react. First of all, the compliment is really weird. I did a whole bunch of audio tape listening, before the show today, hearing people tell me I suck. So I was ready for Steve to tell me that the whole time. So the compliment threw me off. But the other thing is, he's telling us to, calm down, but also react how you want to react and get over it. I just don't know what to make of it. I don't know what Steve wants me to do. I want to feel my feelings, and I feel like, his list is solid. Obviously, we agree on some points, but to omit Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to me is bizarre. I felt a little dirty about leaving Salvi Perez off, who was tied with him last year for amount of home runs, but looking at years past. But Haniger on my short list, Bryce Harper on my short list. So in agreement on a few things, surprisingly.
All right.
No Salvador Perez for either one of you?
I mean, no. I wanted to, but it's just, you look at him with a catcher, and how much we're going to see from him this year, what he's done in the past. I mean, he had a great year. Don't get me wrong. He was one of my guys last year, but I can't go with that. No, not on this list.
Yeah,
Not doing it again. Nope, he won't be up there again.
We did cover that.
Yeah,
as
100%.
100%.
I'm just kind of blown away because it's the same amount of home runs as Vlad Guerrero Jr., who Steve does not like.
All right,
and thinks is overrated.
Let's take a look
Terrible
at some
baseball
home
player.
run futures.
I never
Yes,
said
you did.
that. I absolutely never
Yes,
said
you
that.
did.
Might
Do
as well
not
We
put
can
have.
words in
rewind
my
the
mouth.
tape. We can rewind the tape.
Okay.
He's reacting how he wants to react, Steve. Let him react.
Okay, boys. Let's all take a minute. We're going to move on. I don't want to have to put anybody in timeout.
Sorry, mother.
Oh,
We're gonna
there's Mom.
I'm practicing. We're going to take a look at some home run futures for the guys that are on your list. And we're going to start
Let's start
with
Steve.
Vladdy,
Steven Guy.
Vlad Jr., which is where Steve wants to start. So on Nick's list, obviously, number 1, highest total on the sportsbook, 48 last season, tied for most in MLB with aforementioned Salvador Perez. So, Nick, I'm guessing you're going over.
Well, I want to go over here, but as much as I have confidence in him to hit 40 home runs this season, I think expecting a guy to hit 44 home runs in any given year is a little bit of a tall ask. So if I have to pick one or the other, I'm going to take the over. But I don't love this number at 43.5 right now, despite what he did last season. I just think that's asking a lot, any guy, any given year, to go right around 45.
Steve, I know you're going to have a strong opinion about this.
Look, like we're all on this like hype train that I'm like all down on Vlad Guerrero Jr. He just didn't make my list. That's okay. You know, we can beg to have different opinions. I'm going to take the under on this one. One thing I think we also have to consider too as well is that the majority of the home games for the Blue Jays last year was played in Buffalo. 21 of those home runs for Vlad Guerrero came in Buffalo. Now, the field dimensions are fairly similar, but he did have a shorter field in Buffalo. So I'm not saying that's going to take away, 20 home runs for him, but that's something to consider as well when he had such a massive amount of home runs last year. But, kind of like to Nick's point, you can't expect these guys to go out there and consistently hit over 40 home runs. Everything has to go right. You have to avoid injury in that type of scenario. So I think under is the safer play at under 43.5.
All right, let's go with the 2021 NL MVP here. Bryce Harper, 33.5. He was on both of your lists. Steven, what do you want to do here?
Yeah, this is an over for me. I mean, he's consistently at this number if they're playing a full-length season, unlike in 2020. But like I said, he was on pace for 36 in that year if they played a full season. He's got some good protection around him. Obviously, playing in Philly in half of his games is a +2 as well. And look, there's some favorable ballparks in the NL East, so I think that he can go over this number here. Hits for power on both sides, from against lefties, against righties. Like him to go over this number.
All right, 35 total last season, Nick.
Yeah, even though he wasn't on my list, I still love this number. I think of all of the many ones that we're looking at today, this one might be my favorite one. For Harper, as you guys have pointed out already, he's hit the over on this number three of the past 4 seasons. And I think, you look at, he finally has protection now too with Nick Castellanos, like adequate protection. I think up to Bryce Harper status at least. So I think that's going to make a huge difference for him, even though this division got a little bit tougher with some of the pitching that's been added.
My bad. I thought he was on your list. I'm getting all of these dudes completely confused.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's really
I won't
tough.
yell at you unlike some people.
Thank you. I mean, whatever you're feeling, express it here in this segment.
Right. That's what this show is all about.
Shohei Ohtani was on both your lists, though, right?
Yes.
Looking for confirmation.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure. His home run total set at 38.5. He had 46 last season.
Wow.
In 155 games.
Yeah.
So, Nick, you want to take the over or the under on 38.5? Come on, go over.
Come on.
No, I can't back him on this one. I think Steve
Howard.
he made a good point about the latter half of the season. And my big thing is too, I just worry about he's got the whole dynamic of pitching too. And I understand you can go and not pitch him and then still hit him over the course of the season. And they did change the DH rule, the pitcher DH rule solely for him. Under the new collective bargaining agreement and everything. That does help, but I just get worried. Is he going to run into an issue? And this is still a high number in general for any guy. So no, I can't back him on this number. If you're going to take one or the other, you got to go under here.
Steve, do you agree? You got to go under?
It's going to be a gross, sweaty under because you're going to be watching this dynamic talent mash balls when he's at the plate. But that being said, I agree with Nick. With the whole pitching dynamic in place, it's hard to put him at a number. And I can't state enough how much he cooled off in the second half. 13 home runs in the second half last year. That's a major, major drop off for him. Maybe the fatigue of pitching and hitting really kind of set in. We'll see, like Nick mentioned with the DH rule and all that, but this is a number I'd feel better about taking the under. It's going to be gross that you're taking it, but I think that's the better play.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Steve, because 9 home runs and 235 plate appearances over the final 2 months of the season. So he's someone who definitely maybe struggled a little bit there towards the end. What about Matt Olson? 39.5 here, Nick. I know he was on your list.
Yeah, so I said how with Vlad Guerrero Jr., I'm not comfortable taking a guy at 43.5 of the over on that, but I trust him to get 40, and I trust Matt Olson to get 40 as well this season, making the shift to Atlanta, a much more hitter-friendly ballpark. Had 39 last season in Oakland. Of course, we had the shortened 2020 season, but the year before that, he had 36 in 127 games. So again, we're talking about guys where, injuries do come into play, but still he's getting those numbers. He's in a better lineup now as well. So I think you combine protection, hitter-friendly ballpark. I think that's going to make a big difference for him. And honestly, it doesn't need to make that big a difference. Just needs to make, give him one extra home run from what he had last season.
Okay, he's got a new ballpark now, Steven. That going to make a big difference here with these home run numbers?
If you put all of his batted ball events from last season, put them in Atlanta, that actually would have given him 6 more home runs than he had last year. He's going to absolutely mash in the NL East because of that shorter ballpark, a better protection in that lineup. I don't hate him to even lead the league in home runs. You can get that at 13-1 odds over on DraftKings Sportsbook. I think he's going to go over that number of 39.5. This is going to be a huge boost for him in Atlanta.
All right, Mitch Haniger, Steve, he's on your list. He had some powerful words in the offseason. He said they're going to end this effing drought.
Oh, wow.
I did bleep myself on that.
Those are feelings right there.
So 31.5. He had 39 last season. Steve, do you feel like he can go over?
Yeah, the DraftKings Sportsbook continues to disrespect the Seattle Mariners, and I feel like this is a play that you're going to take the over. I mean, we might cash this bet in the month of May with the way that Mitch Haniger's attitude is. He might hit 4 home runs a game, and then we're over and we're cashing this by the month of May. I don't know, maybe. It's possible. But that being said, 31.5 is just too low. This is obviously someone who doesn't hit this number frequently, but a lot of injuries have come through. We see him in a full season last year. If he can stay healthy, he is on the cusp of hitting 40 home runs a year in a much better lineup than we even saw last year. An immense amount of protection for him no matter where he bats. He primarily hit second last year. I don't know if they're going to shift that around with Eugenio Suarez, Jesse Winker in the lineup too as well, but regardless of where he hits, the protection is going to be much better. He mashes the ball. Even in that AL West, he's going over that number.
Yeah, Nick, he missed more than half of the 2019 season, the entire shortened 2020 season, and everyone was like, oh, what's going to happen in 21? He absolutely smashed projections.
Taters.
So 31.5 right now. Do you think he can go over?
Yeah, I think Haniger, he was on my short list too. Him and Bryce Harper just got left off. And the big reason for that was in 2019 where he still played, 157 games and only had 26 home runs. But I think we saw him break out last year. This lineup is improved. You add Jesse Winker. If you're going to stick him behind him or ahead of him, I still think that's going to be a big boost for him. So, yeah, I like Haniger a lot. Another guy who was big on last season, did really well. So the over on 31.5, absolutely.